As we continue to wait for Season 7 to release, I thought it would be interesting to make a tier list of all of the Season 6 main promos that we have got throughout the season. We got around 40 of the promos to get through and rank. And of course, you guys can do this yourself. I'll leave a link to the template that I've created in the description down below. You can share them and it will be interesting to see how yours compared to mine. So obviously, we're going to start off with the very first promo of Season 6, and that was the NBA 75th Anniversary Part 1. Now, for me, this wasn't the best start to the season, but it certainly wasn't the worst. It was a promo structure that we had as one of the last promos in Season 5, but it wasn't necessarily an absolutely terrible promo, so I'm actually going to stick that on the bench warmer category. I don't think it's a rejected category. Obviously, I have gone ahead and named them all, so MVP is going to be the top one, then All-Star, then Starter, then Bench Warmer, and then finally Rejected. So I think that one sits nicely at Bench Warmer, but we might see as we sort of rank all of these ones over here. Now, obviously, the next one after that was the Mad Scientist promo. This is where we had Jimmy Butler at every single different position, and then we also had that KD as well. Now, this is a great concept, but unfortunately, it didn't really land particularly well, mainly because Jimmy Butler was, of course, finesse on all of the different positions, which was a little bit unfortunate. So I am still going to put that at Bench Warmer. I think it's on the same level as the NBA 75th Anniversary one. I don't think it's in the Rejected one, just simply because that concept was pretty good. Moving on to the next one, which is Dunking Spice Latte. It was decent. We had our master, that Shaquille O'Neal, who was a little bit animated. He had a nice boost on him. I don't think there was necessarily anything too bad with that promo, so I think I am going to put that in the starter category. But here we go. We're on to No Shave November. Now, this one was the first promo that EA had sort of experimented with. It was a brand new format that we had never seen before, and it was something that wasn't received particularly well. It wasn't a great promo format, in my opinion. The structure wasn't that good. The masters weren't good. The way it could work does make sense. Like, it could be improved to become a great promo structure, but at the moment, it's not that good. And for me, that's going to go in the Rejected category over there. We haven't got any really good promos so far, but I think that one definitely falls in the Rejected category. Now we go on to the Harvest Festival promo, last year's Thanksgiving promo. Of course, we got the exact same logo over here on our final promo of Season 6, but we're focusing on the Harvest Festival promo. Now, this one, the Grandmaster was that 89 overall Elgin Baylor, and for me, it was one of those promo structures that wasn't very good, especially on the no money spent aspect. You really couldn't get much no money spent. You could maybe get 1 or 2 masters, but none of the masters had boosts on them, which meant that it wasn't really worth it, in my opinion. So I think, again, I'm going to have to put this on the Rejected category. For me, it's between Bench Warmer and Rejected, but I think it slightly falls below the standards of these two promos already. But then we go on to Player's Choice promo. Now, this one was a really fun promo. Obviously, the masters were tough to get up to, but it was still possible to get up to them. And it was one of those promos that had a unique idea and concept behind it, where we had a player from each different team. We had a master from each different team, all at 90 overall. Yes, they didn't have boosts on them, but the fact that you could choose a player from every single team was really good. You had Luka Doncic for the Mavericks, Giannis for the Bucks, and of course, it just went on and on and on with all of the players from their separate teams. So I think in comparison to the other promos that we've got this season, I think that actually falls in the MVP section over there. We might change things up as we continue going through. But the next one after that, as we head throughout the season, was that Naughty or Nice promo. It lasted quite a long time, which was probably one of the very few disadvantages of this promo, but the Masters was so much fun to go ahead and try and get. LeBron James was an insane Grandmaster at 91 overall, and of course he had that gold boost on him, and of course he had the dunk package. He had other players that had the dunk package. You could do a full lineup gameplay. This promo was really fun. I think I'm going to put that just slightly above the Player's Choice promo over there. I think it definitely deserves that spot. And then we get on to another insane promo. This one definitely sits up there at MVP. I think this is probably the best promo, in my opinion, that we've had all season, and that is the Look Back promo, just because it looks back at past seasons of NBA Live Mobile. You had Season 3 cards, Season 4, Season 5 cards. It was such a fun promo to try and get some of the Masters and look back at the nostalgic sort of eras of NBA Live Mobile. And I hope that we get a couple more promos maybe in Season 7, sort of like this stuff. Maybe looking back even further at Season 1 and Season 2, because I think those would be really interesting concepts to dive into and just bring back those nostalgic cards and bring back a lot more people to the game. So for me, that one's definitely sitting up there in the MVP category over there. And we had a bunch of different Masters, and again, it kept getting updated regularly throughout the promo. You had new Masters dropping like the Larry Bird, Dennis Rodman, all of that stuff was super fun to see. And then we get on to sort of a more negative promo, and that is the Zero Chill promo. Now, this one followed the exact same format as the No Shave November format, which I explained earlier wasn't a format that was widely received as being good. We had another James Harden Grandmaster at 92 overall, so it was a little bit better in overall, but especially coming off of the bat of this really good look back promo, it just fell flat on its face straight away, and that is definitely going in the rejected section over there. I think they tweaked a couple of things from No Shave November, but it didn't really make much of a difference. And then we come back to the NBA 75th anniversary promo, and again, this was kind of a mid promo in my opinion. There wasn't anything too wrong with it, but there wasn't anything special with it. So for me, it's between starter and bench warmer, but I think I'm going to put it in the bench warmer section next to its counterpart with that first NBA 75th anniversary promo. And then we go on to Lunar New Year. Now, Lunar New Year for me could have been a bit better, but it wasn't necessarily bad. Like, it was still a decent promo structure, but again, the rewards you were getting out of it weren't that good. You were getting at best the 94 overall Hardaway, who you could get no money spent, but again, it's whether you needed him. But actually, I think that was slightly better than the previous rewards we had, so I think that would go in the starter category just because we jumped up from that 92 overall to the 94 overall, and I think that was slightly better. But it does go below that Dunking Spice Latte promo. And then we get on to the All-Star Historic promo. Now, this one was a sort of pay-to-win promo, as it were. It was sort of the first time we'd seen this structure in Season 6. We had seen it previously in Season 5. I called it in the promo review video I did a refreshing promo just because it was something we hadn't seen before in a very long time. And of course, all of the Masters, you had the 94 overall versions of them with boost, but you could get yourself a 92 no money spent. And again, I think that goes in the starter category over here, maybe a little bit above the Lunar New Year and a bit below that Dunking Spice Latte. Again, it is interesting because obviously at the time I would have thought certain things about these promos that might have changed now, looking back at them in hindsight, or it might have sort of stayed the same or got a little bit better. And then we go on to the All-Star promo. Now, this is a massive task for EA to completely deliver on this promo, and I think they did. There were still some things, don't get me wrong, that weren't amazing with it, so I think it does go in the MVP section just because I really enjoyed it. It was a tough grind, but I think it was worth it to try and get some of those All-Star captains, the KD and the LeBron, so I think it definitely goes in the MVP section. And then we come on to the front court or backcourt promo. Lots of people have fond memories of the promo, getting those 93 overall Masters and that 95 John Havlicek. For me, it does go in the All-Star section. There's nothing really to take it up to the next level, in my opinion, because it is basically the same as Naughty or Nice, just with higher overall players. And Naughty or Nice for me was pretty good around Christmas, and we got additional players with that one, whereas we didn't get that with front court or back court. Now on to Dunk Masters. Now, this is one of those ones which was quite disappointing. You had a Dunk Masters promo. None of the Masters had dunk boosts on them. None of them had dunk packages. It was just a really weird promo in itself. And I think that one probably goes around the bench warmer section. It's not really on the rejected section just because you could still get a 96 overall Grandmaster with an okay boost. It was an athleticism boost, but again, it could have been so much better, but it just wasn't. And then Notch Latina, again, it's going to have to fall in the rejected section. They did tweak a couple more things as with the previous two versions of this structure, but again, it wasn't enough to put it anywhere above rejected for me. I didn't really play it that much. Devin Booker, he was a pretty good Grandmaster, but it was so hard to actually go ahead and get up to him. And even some of the pay-to-win guys, I think, struggled a little bit in trying to get him. Then we had St. Patrick's Day promo, which was the same structure as the All-Star Historic promo. We're just going to keep going around the circles with a lot of these because they are similar structures. This one had the 95 overall Masters and 97 overall Grandmasters. It wasn't really anything too special, so I think I'm going to have to put it in the bench warmer category as well. Maybe on the lower end, I don't really know. But then we got onto Mobile Madness. Now, I remember this one was really good, but there was just a couple of things hindering it from going up to that MVP section. Namely, the Masters didn't have team boosts on them. They had those position boosts, but nonetheless, those Masters were really, really good. And it was a really fun grind because that was the Team of the Year format. And it was, as it always is when you have got good rewards, a solid grind. So I think that's going in the All-Star section. Then we got April Fool Show promo, and this will differ depending on whether you're pay to win or no money spent. If you're no money spent like me, I think it maybe goes in the starter section to bench warmer section. I'm going to stick it in the starter section. If you're pay to win, this might be one of your All-Star or MVP caliber promos, just simply because it was so much fun trying to get that Shaq, who was 12 foot at the time, which is ridiculous. But for me, as a no money spent guy who wasn't able to get up to that level, I think it's going in the starter section. Then you got the play-in tournament. Now again, this one's a nice free-to-play friendly promo structure. You've got that 98 overall Karl-Anthony Towns, but again, it's something we've seen loads and loads of times, so I think I'm going to have to stick that in the starter section over there. Then we had the playoffs promo, and again, this is something EA really need to deliver on. when it comes to the promos, just because it's one of those big promos that everyone expects something big from. And unfortunately, this first round of the playoffs wasn't really met with too much positive criticism. It was the same promo structure that we've had previously in Fantasy Madness last season, and it wasn't actually that good in my opinion, or at least it wasn't as good as it could have been and living up to the name of the playoff promo starting off. So I think this is going in the bench warmer section. Maybe I'm thinking about it a bit too harshly, but I think it goes in that section over there. Then we had Lone Warriors, which was a really massive fan favorite structure, and of course the promo itself. You had Allen Iverson, who had an absolutely ridiculous dunk package. He was giving out an elite shooting boost. He was such a fun player to play with, and I think this promo goes up there in the MVP section. I think I'm just going to put it below that look back promo just because of the nostalgia from that one, but I think it might be some people's favorite promo from the whole season itself. Then we've got the semi-finals promo. Now this one's an interesting one because you had your Grandmaster, that 100 overall Steph Curry, but he was a shooting guard. He had sort of like a Giannis Antetokounmpo build at the shooting guard spot, but it was a Curry card. But the rest of the Masters, absolutely nuts. I think EA made a little bit of a mistake with the boost, giving them all team boost, but that made it so much better to try and get all of these guys, and you could get them no money spent. So I think this one again is going up there in the MVP section. I don't know, I think it might have to be the third spot over there, just under Lone Warriors promo, but I think it was a really solid format just based off of the fact that EA kind of messed up with the boost and gave us all team boosts instead. Then you had the draft lottery promo. Now this one was the All-Star historic format, but it wasn't as good. It didn't really feel the same. I think this one's going in the bench warmer section. The Masters for me weren't that good, and again, it's a pay to win structure, so maybe I'm thinking about it in a different limelight to how you would if you are sort of spending a bit more money on the game. Then we got the conference finals promo. Again, another free to play friendly format, but again, the Masters didn't have team boost. You had the Grandmaster 101 Klay Thompson, which was nice, especially because he had some insane stats and the boost was pretty good, but again, no team boost. It sort of didn't really land particularly well. I think this one goes in the starter category, maybe a little bit above that Lunar New Year promo over there. Then the NBA Finals promo. Now this one's interesting because it was a promo structure that we saw in the previous season, but it wasn't one of those ones that was on repeat throughout the whole season, and the Masters were pretty good. You couldn't get Tatum, no money spent, but I still think it's in the all-star level category just because the Masters we got were kind of nice. Yes, it's trying to live up to that title of NBA Finals promo, but I think on its own, on standalone promo, it wasn't too much of a grind. It was kind of fun, and I think it goes in the all-star category. Then we've got NBA Historic Awards promo. Now this one had some insane boosts on the Masters. Court General boost to team. You had Larry Bird giving out a ridiculous elite Court General boost to team. This one, again, is going up there in the MVP section. I think it's a little bit higher than the conference semi-final promo, just because it was kind of like a more of a fun grind, in my opinion, to try and get up to these guys after realizing just how crazy the boosts were. A lot of these sort of promos have the NBA logo. I have no idea why, but it is how it is. And then we had the NBA 2022 awards promo over there. It wasn't really that good. A lot of the players didn't actually win awards who are the Masters. The structure itself wasn't too fun to go ahead and play through. I think that's going in just about the starter category. It could go down to bench warmers, but I think I put that in the starter category just because Trae Young, I think a lot of people liked him as a master. Then you had the Play with the Patriot promo, and again, we got some team boosts with some of the Masters. And then you had that 104 Jimmy Butler. He wasn't really much of a sell, and lots of people didn't really want to try and get him. You're mainly focused on those 102 Masters, but I think it was a good, solid promo nonetheless, and it goes in that all-star category. Then we had Mint Condition. Now, again, this one was a really fun promo to go and play through. You had some nice Masters, some nice boosts on them. That Rudy Gobert and that Magic Johnson, both free to play, both with insane boosts on them. I think actually it goes up into the MVP section. I was being a bit too harsh there for a second, but I think it goes up there as an absolutely insane promo, especially with the addition of Magic Johnson, just pushing it up there as an insane promo. Then you had the Kaboom promo. Now, as a no money spent player, I don't think it was insanely good. You had a nice Jordan Poole card. The boosts weren't the best, so I think this one's going in the starter category just at the end over there. Then you had the BFF promo. This one was kind of rubbish in my opinion. Like, there was nothing too good going for it. The Master Carmelo Anthony was okay, but he was a 106, and the other Masters, they didn't have boosts on them or anything like that, so I think this one's gonna have to go on that very low tier of rejected. And then we have another one that bounced back from that, which was the Sharpshooters promo. This was such a nice promo. You had some crazy boost on some of the 104s. You had a 106 Steve Kerr, who maybe could have been a bit better as a Grandmaster, but I think this is definitely a really solid, fun promo to go ahead and play through. I think it's sort of like below the All-Star promo, as it were, in that MVP section. Then we have the Cover Stars promo. Now, a lot of people do like this promo. I personally didn't play it a huge amount just because I didn't like it, but I think it definitely goes in the All-Star section. It could have been better if it was a different format. The idea behind it is so unique and we could have had so much fun with it, but unfortunately, I think it just fell flat a little bit on what it could have been, but it's still a good promo. Then we had Retro Replay. Now, again, the Masters weren't that good. Some people did find it useful for their team, so I think I'm going to have to put that in the bench warmers section over there. Then we had On-Court Leaders promo. The only thing that saved this promo was that Steph Curry, and I think that sort of pushed it into the starter category. It could have been a lot better with some of the boosts on the Masters, but that Curry just pushed it up a little bit, and I think a lot of people do have that card as their starting point guard. Then you've got this Hall of Fame promo, which was a little bit of a letdown. You had Manu Ginobili as the Grandmaster at 108. All of the Masters having position boost. Manu Ginobili wasn't a free-to-play card. I think this one was a rejected promo over here. Don't think a lot of people liked it. Could be in the bench warmer section, but for me, I'm putting it in the rejected section over there. Then we had the East versus West promo. Some really solid Masters with this one. No team boost though, but I think this is going in the All-Star section over here. Maybe a little bit below Pay with the Patriots. I think it sits nicely over there. You had Ja Morant giving an insane team boost as the Grandmaster. Then we go on to Olympic Rewind, which again, it was a decent promo. You couldn't really get the Grandmaster no money spent, although they had some good boosts on them. Masters themselves, the 108s, also had some pretty good boosts. So I think this one's going in the All-Star section over here, just a little bit above the starter section. I think it fits pretty nicely there. Fan favorites, again, I think it's one of those ones where it's missing that X factor to push it up to MVP, but it's still a good promo and good enough to be put in the All-Star section over there. I'm kind of forgetting which promos are which with those NBA logos over there, but I think it sits nicely over there. Trick or Treat, again, we were sort of coming towards the end of the season. We knew it was sort of coming closer and closer, but we didn't get a good enough promo with the Halloween one, in my opinion. I think it goes sort of in the bench warmer section to starter section. I think I'm going to stick it in the starter section because they were 110 overall Masters, which might have helped quite a few players' team. Then we have the Most Improved Player promo, which was good on the boost side, good on the Master side. The structure wasn't the best, but I think a lot of pay-to-win guys did find a lot of value with this one. I think I'm going to put it in the starter section, maybe a little bit below the April Fool Show promo. And then finally, the Turkey Day promo, the final promo of Season 6. We had it for a little while. It sort of went away, came back, and all of that stuff. I think the Masters were good. You could get Zach LaVine as a no money spent player. I didn't really play it too much, and by that point, I think a lot of people had sort of stopped with the game, maybe just thought, oh, I'm just going to wait until Season 7, but it was still a really, really solid promo with some good Masters, some good boosts on them. It's, for me, between MVP and All-Star. I think I'm going to put it at the top of All-Star over there. Just a really solid promo, and I think that sits nicely. Now, obviously, it is a little bit hard trying to remember what all of the previous promos were like, whether they were generally received well in the community or not, whether I personally like them, but I think this is a solid tier list in my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below, what would you have in different places? You guys can go ahead and make your own tier list. I'll leave the link, as I mentioned earlier, in the description down below. But now we are just simply waiting for the game to go down, waiting for the updates to happen. We have no idea when it's going to happen, but hopefully it can happen in the next couple of days. And in the meantime, if you want to know exactly how you can do some insane special moves, such as the step back, jelly layup, all of that stuff, go check out the video in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'll see you guys in that one. Peace!